Matt and Luke's Sci-Fi Sanctuary.
The year is 3013. The galaxy is scintillating in the mellow light. Two galactic pilgrims seek out vistas in the samurai future to bring forth the unity of the cosmic shaman. Opening the door of the pantheon of mystics, the evil sorcerer wizard powers the engine of science, seeking to forever alter the sacred balance, travelling on effervescent balls of summer fire.
This week, Minority Report.
In the year 2020, the police can predict if you're a criminal based on skin color and skull measurements. But in the year 2050, they use 3 psychics in a bathtub.
Which one sounds better? I don't know.
Neither's great.
Neither's great. I guess we don't need this in the first place. Anyway, this is Matt.
This is Luke.
Welcome to the Sci-Fi
Sanctuary, where
today we will be discussing all about pre-crime and finding out where you're going and what the algorithms are going to read on you with Minority Report.
I also just popped a fizzy Coke all over myself.
And he's popped a fizzy Coke all over himself. This is a film to get a little weird with. So we have a man who wrote the textbook of conspiracy theories, the Octopus of Global Control. He now has his own podcast, Macroagressions. That is macro, not micro. I've had to explain that to a person or two. Charlie Robinson, thanks for joining us in the sanctuary.
Well, thanks for having me on. This is going to be a whole lot of fun because, so full disclosure, I've never done a movie review before. I went to USC. They had this great film school. They make you take this cinema class your freshman year, and everyone's like, oh, it's an easy A, and I got a C+. So I'm just warning you right off the bat that my movie reviewing skills might need a little work, but I can definitely get weird with you on this. And this is a trippy movie that is going to remind people of where we are in the future, that the future that we thought was way, way out there, in some cases is happening right now, and it's a little bit terrifying.
Yeah, I first saw this movie, I believe on opening night. I think it's around the time I was doing like environmental education, so I might have been lost in the woods, but I saw it pretty close to release date. And the future in here, I was like, oh, that's fascinating. It doesn't seem realistic, and I don't like it. Watching it this time, it's like, I still don't like it, and it seems kind of realistic.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for the ads to, pop me in the face while walking down a hallway or something.
I don't think I saw it in theaters. I was a little too young. But I definitely caught it on as soon as it came out on home release. And I remember actually watching this in my philosophy and ethics A-level course.
So what did they say?
Well, I mean, we used it as a springboard for various discussions. I think we were talking about, like, free will and predestination and stuff. And I feel like this is one of those films where my opinion on it has done a full 180. And that when I watched it then, and I was like 16 years old and thought I was going to be a cop one day, I would have been 100% on Tom Cruise's side. And now I'm like, oh God, burn all of this down. It's terrible.
I mean, it's like Brave New World, where the best place to be is out with a savage somewhere in the brush. Charlie, when did you first see this one?
I think I saw it in the theaters, if I recall, and then I didn't watch it again until like a week ago, and I felt like I had seen it maybe in between them because it seemed really familiar to me, but I think I forgot how impressive the computer-generated images and the graphics and all of the, how they predicted the future technologies and everything. I forgot what a great job they did with that. I mean, they made it look like, halfway between, something that's you would be familiar with right now. So it wasn't so futuristic that you couldn't relate to it. It had a lot of technologies that you could sort of realistically see yourself using, and it's crazy to watch it now and see Like, I mean, I made a list of the things that were in that movie as the future that are currently happening right now. And so it's trippy to watch it. It seems like you don't have to get to 2054. You maybe probably only need to get to 2034 for these things to come true at the rate we're going. It's a fascinating movie.
No, I remember Aldous Huxley talking about Brave New World, saying he wished he had actually set that movie much closer to the present. And Minority Report sort of has the same thing about it.
Yeah. I think it was 50 years out in the future from when they made it. So, yeah. I mean, you're having to guess a little bit at that point. But I think they did a very good job of it. It's unfortunately, and it's a deep movie too, you know, that, like you said, talking about the difference between free will and determinism and things like that. It's got many layers to it, you know.
Yeah, and more the filmmaking terms, I think this was Spielberg's first big budget thing for quite a while when it came out. It was like Lost World of this? Is it? Oh, okay, AI is between.
And there's Saving Private Ryan.
Yeah, but that's kind of it's art.
It wasn't sci-fi, but it's huge budget.
Yeah, okay, good point. But he did have AI, I guess, a year or two before this, which is equally disturbing.
I think he was constantly putting something out every few years. So.
Yeah. It's definitely a good follow-up to AI, because a lot of the same disquiet in that movie tends to reflect here as well, I think.
Yeah, I haven't seen AI yet, but it's on my list. But I intentionally didn't watch it before I had this conversation with you guys, because I was afraid I was going to get the two movies confused, because they seem like there could be some overlap between AI, Steven Spielberg's version of it, and Minority Report that he did as well.
I feel like they could almost exist in the same world.
Yeah, really.
If you squint a little bit.
Although we should mention that Minority Report is a Philip K. Dick story from the late 50s.
Right.
And just like what happened when we did Total Recall, I have the selected stories of Philip K. Dick on my iPad, and it didn't have Minority Report or We Can Remember For You Wholesale, so I didn't read that.
This film was in development at one point as a sequel to Total Recall.
Oh.
Yeah.
They were going to, I think it was like in the 90s, they were going to bring Schwarzenegger back, do this story with the same characters. I guess he, between the two films, joined that police force or whatever.
There were lawsuits between these groups, the people that wrote it and the people that optioned it. It was a huge legal mess for like 10 years, and it kind of fizzled out, and then Spielberg picked it back up later and wound up making it.
Yeah, I'm sitting here wondering if... I don't want to see like Quaid as a person, like the actual character, right, from Total Recall, but I'm sitting here thinking, how would this go with Schwarzenegger?
You know, of course, I would rather watch a film with Schwarzenegger, but... I guess this is one of those films that benefits from the fact that you don't really like Tom Cruise.
You like to watch him, but...
Yeah, but like Schwarzenegger, I don't want him to be the bad guy, right?
Yeah.
Whereas Tom Cruise, you're like, I kind of hope he gets punched at the end of this.
That's why Collateral is one of his best movies.
Yeah, he's always at his best when he's not quite playing the hero.
Let's get talking a bit more about Tom, but first I'll lay down the story for this one, I guess.
Go ahead.
Will you peel back the veil and learn the knowledge it entails? Vibrational alchemy. Oh yes, the time has come to see.
John Anderton lost his 6-year-old son to a random murderous creeper at a public pool 6 years ago. He may be constantly high on futuristic skag, but he has teamed up with Lamar Burgess to prevent that sort of thing happening again. The two have instituted pre-crime across the District of Columbia. 3 precogs kept under sedation in an underground government temple know when a murder is about to occur. Any potential murderer is apprehended before any life is lost, and that pre-murder is sent into penal cold storage. In fact, other than crimes of passion, DC has seen no murders for the past 6 years. But the next prediction pegs John Anderton as the future murderer of Leo Crow, a person he does not even know. Anderton knows he is innocent of this future crime and makes moves to combat his arrest. He gets his eyes swapped out in this eye-scanning dystopia, He punches riot police in the face. He kidnaps precog Agatha to gain access to the Minority Report, wherein John murders no one. But it turns out there is no Minority Report. Why? It seems that Leo Crow murdered Anderton's son. Or did he? This all turns out to be a scam from Anderton's mentor, the aforementioned Lamar Burgess, to knock him out, as Anderton recently came across some evidence that the precogs may not be infallible and they have been kidnapped. And maybe that plan worked out. Anderton is sent to cold storage and may simply dream his best life away. Or maybe Anderton's ex-wife freed him from cold storage, which lets him reveal Burgess's horror and free the precogs to live in a beatific countryside, with a directed by Steven Spielberg credit rolling over the new house.
You've just recorded that over our opening.
Yeah, fix it. P.S. Danny Whitmer is a fantastic red herring.
Imagery of life, folk attached to a name, project out realer than real, through the senses that they feel. Two-stage out the game, through the senses they feel to act.
Okay, we'd like to get into the actors a bit. We have one of the biggest actors on the planet, starring in this one, Tom Cruise.
You say biggest.
When this movie came out, sure.
No, but he's 5'6".
Oh, right, he's a little short, but...
He's the same height as me.
That's your height, is it?
Yeah.
Okay, I guess I didn't
5'6",
notice.
5'7". Yeah. Because I live in Japan, so no one can tell.
Yeah. I'm kind of agoraphobic. I don't like being around a lot of people, but in Japan it almost never matters because my head's always above. I've said it before, like my favorite YouTube video is Tom Cruise going on about Scientology for 10 minutes and making like half statements.
Yeah, he showed it to me last week. He starts sentences but never finishes them and just keeps starting new sentences.
I've never noticed that. Now I'm going to have to go watch that. Now,
It's like,
Yeah, just look at
I
that.
don't mince my words, but I just, you know? And when it happens, you've got to, the thing happens.
And then it cuts to his next phrase. So, yeah, do have a look at that one later. Just, Tom Cruise on Scientology, and they put it out. I guess that's what they wanted you to see.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, it's fun to watch. It's like you want Tom to be the villain, but it's almost hard not to like him a little bit.
Yeah, there's a reason he's like the biggest actor in the world.
I like that I've always liked that he does his own stunts too, which is something that he could very easily not be a part of. But it seems that he's, just made the decision that he's going to hang off of buildings. And yeah, of course he films it and promotes that, probably because he has a giant ego. But it is cool that he does, not just his own stunts, but some pretty hairy ones, at least in the Mission Impossible movies. So I do give him credit for that, but I will never unsee him jumping on the couch, that just is kind of still burned into my memory of him and Oprah. So, like,
for this and War of the Worlds, he seemed very much in the pocket of that particular establishment. It seems recently, I guess playing that down. I haven't heard him and them in the same sentence for quite a while.
He seems to still be breathing, so I don't think he's left.
Yeah.
But these days I feel like he makes the film is built around whatever new stunt he wants to do.
Yeah.
He calls up the writers. He's like, okay, at this time I want to fly a fighter jet and do a loop-the-loop. Like, okay, well, we'll write you a new Top Gun film.
But I guess he's still under, what, a billion-year contract, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, see, he's got a little bit more to... He should think of conserving his body. He's going to need it for the next billion
Looking
years.
at how little he ages, I think he might live a billion years.
Please don't sue us.
Of course, there's Tom. There are some other very good actors in here. And now that he's passed away, I really have to ask the question, is it Sydow or Sydow?
I've always said Sydow, but I don't think it's based on anything.
I think it's actually Max von Sydow.
Huh?
Yeah.
Max von Sydow.
Anyway, he's the best villain besides Tom Cruise. He was Ming the Merciless. He's great in here.
Yeah, he's spot on here because I think you put it in your notes that he's like a lovable villain in this one. Like he's affable, he's grandfatherly, but he still is like awful.
Yeah, don't turn your back on that guy, which may be the same with a lot of government officials.
And it's that charming British accent that gets you, you know.
We are very good at playing villains.
We've mentioned it on this podcast before, but are you familiar with the British side of pro wrestling?
No.
Yeah, basically, whenever the American wrestlers come to the UK, we always cheer the bad guys.
Oh, really?
And I've been to a few shows where it's like quite new wrestlers, and they just don't know how to deal with it because they're expecting the boos, they're trying to play up the villain, but the whole crowd is on their side.
That's funny. I one of my things on my list to do before I die is to go watch a proper football game in the UK with a bunch of you maniacs.
Oh, yeah.
That I have to experience.
At this moment, being late July 2020, I think us Americans can only go to, 9 countries?
Yeah, I might have to wait. But
well, you're not even allowed in the football stadiums in the UK at the moment.
There we go.
It's all played in empty stadiums.
Yeah,
Wow.
Japan's been playing this weird. Like, Luke and I have not experienced a real lockdown yet, which is kind of, I guess,
Yeah, we
amazing.
haven't missed a day of work. The restaurant's closed for like 2 weeks. But yeah.
well, that's good. It's doing psychological damage to people here in the U.S. and people are on a very short fuse and they're acting like maniacs constantly. And I think that's like a pressure cooker. And then you factor in the heat coming and there's no pro sports to diffuse that. Yeah, people are stressing out.
But
Yeah, we personally have gotten pretty lucky in this one.
yeah, it's like Japan has made a few cursory moves to go along with the rest of the world, but in general they kind of seem like we can't be bothered. That said, Tokyo is now, I guess, experiencing a resurgence, but still numbers nothing like you're going to see in the States or Brazil or something.
Or even the UK.
Yeah,
In Europe.
but depending on what
Those
those numbers mean.
Dirty Americans spreading it all over the place.
Yeah. Hugs for everyone.
Well, no one likes touching other people in Japan, so...
True. Yeah, that's one of the reasons I like to live in Japan. But Colin Farrell, of course, needs a mention here. He turns out to be quite a red herring because he's almost the hero of this film, but he realizes it just a few ticks too late.
Yeah, he wasn't there to shut them down, was he?
No, he was there to check them out, but they thought he was there to shut them down.
But maybe he'd have been more the hero if he was. But yeah, he felt like if it had not been from Tom Cruise's point of view, he could very easily have been the hero of this film.
Yeah.
He had more charm and personality than Cruise's character. He was more in the right.
Mm.
But it was told from the point of view of Anderton, which is a stupid name, by the way.
Like I said, I did actually read the story because my Philip K. Dick compilation didn't have it. But I do understand that in the story, Anderton is like a balding middle-aged man.
Okay.
He's less, he's not a marquee face, which he is here. So that is a twist. And yeah, now I'm wondering where Schwarzenegger would have fit into that whole continuum.
Yeah.
I'm just looking up Neil McDonough, who was Tom Cruise's partner on The Force. It was a face I really recognised, but I've got no idea where from.
Yeah, go back to that filmography. Red? Was he Red? Yeah, Desperate
Captain America,
Okay,
apparently.
Captain America. Band of Brothers. Okay, he's been in a few
He's been in a bunch of stuff, but I don't quite know where I
It's
saw
funny
him.
you say that. I was having the exact same thoughts when I saw that. I was like, why do I know this guy? I know him from it's from Band of Brothers. That's where I
Okay.
recognize him.
Yeah, he's got a huge filmography. He's just never the main guy, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, he's a working man, I guess. That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I know who he was in Captain America. He was Dum Dum Dugan. Big red
Oh,
mustache.
yeah, a little older, right.
Yeah, he looked
okay.
very different. But yeah.
He put a few years on
I
him.
guess he's just one of those character actors who's in little roles and everything.
So, actors. I guess this is a bit of what they'd call a high concept movie. So we'll move on to those high concepts. But are there any other actors we want to give a mention to?
There are other actors in the film, but I don't feel like I have much to say about any of them.
Yeah, it is. It's kind of the design and the story that's really the things that grab you here.
No,
so.
but yeah, most of the characters are playing very basic archetypes
Right.
to fit that role in the story.
Let's plunge on into it then.
The way you
Let's go and head first this time. What disquiets your soul the most about this?
I think so. Using the precognition to stop the crime happening, obviously I don't have a problem with that. But that they were then just locking people up in tubes for a crime they hadn't done.
I mean, it would still.
I don't like that people go to prison as it is, let alone when they didn't even do the crime.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it would be still be like a bullshit rehab, but couldn't you send them to a rehab center? I don't know, like a psychological counseling center or
Yeah,
something?
just be like, okay, well, we detected that you were going to commit this crime, so we're going to counsel you to make sure that you don't commit any crimes.
And they never explained if were they being held for an indefinite amount of time, just forever.
Well, it
in
didn't
this,
even seem like they had a real trial.
No, they just put him in this like dream virtual reality simulator machine and just locked him up in there for what, forever? I mean, it seems crazy to me.
I guess no one had been in there for more than 6 years, but yeah, the sell-through date is sort of unknown there.
Yeah. I at first I thought they were literally watching the murder over and over, which would have been incredibly dark, but I think it was just that they were just dreaming and we could see their dreams.
Well, there's the theory that once Anderton goes into what I kept calling cold storage, I don't know if it's cold or warm or what, but the rest of the movie is his fever dream of how he would like things to work out.
Right, because it does suddenly everything works
Right.
out perfectly from there.
And I think that
It would have been very
actually,
Total Recall.
I think that actually is what he was going for, because if you notice in that at the very end, as he's guiding him through everything with the earpiece and the hood, when he takes the hood off, he has a shaved head in that. And when he was put in the cold storage, they put him in with a shaved head.
Huh.
So it seems as though it was just him having a dream, hallucinating that it was going to end that way. That like you said, from that point on, that everything that we saw was technically just a dream, his version of it.
I guess it was Philip K. Dick's life story. He just didn't know if he was living a dream or reality, or
That
if
is how
reality's a
most
dream.
of the stories seem to turn out.
It's a constant theme running through his work with this blending of the dream world and reality, and where does it end, and dimensions. And yeah, he's a phenomenal writer for these sorts of futuristic worlds. You almost kind of get the feeling, if you read enough of his stuff, that maybe he had one foot, in another reality. He didn't seem like he was well adjusted to this world.
I mean, I guess it's true for a lot of artists. Well, just claim that what their inspiration, they don't even know where it comes from. They know it doesn't come from them.
Yeah, Stephen King often said that he sits down and the words just appear on his typewriter.
Yeah.
But he doesn't know how a story's going to end until he gets there.
Wish I could do that. But, I make enough music that I half the time I don't really know where this stuff's coming from. Sometimes it turns out I just ripped off something I heard somewhere, but...
There's always that possibility.
So, when this movie came out, pre-crime was a pretty fantastical concept, but now we have the algorithms that can smell our scent. There's actually talk of this sort of thing occurring in the not that distant future.
Well, you always have the thought, right? If I search something a little bit weird on Google, I'm like, well, now I'm on an FBI list.
Well, I've had the thing I mentioned before, it's like, what do you do about backaches? And then, a few days later, I got a backache, which could be psychosomatic, but...
Or it could be that you turned 40 and Facebook knew.
But in the movie, then they, of course, knew that, and everywhere you went, you were bombarded with personalized video ads for backache creams of all different varieties. So in the movie, that was sort of one of the aspects of it that we could really relate to is the personalized advertising, how over the last couple of years, maybe not to the extent in the movie where you have talking billboards and things like that, which would probably make you insane, feel like you had voices in your head. But we are in this sort of like halfway there where you're having a conversation or standing next to your laptop about something going on in your life, and then you notice that a couple days later you've got ads that are specific to that, and you're going, okay, that's kind of freaking me out. So that's a form of this personalized advertising that we saw. And another thing that I think is coming, this movie didn't get into it too much, is this social credit system. And a lot of people talk about that being in the future, but really aspects of that are already happening in China, where these kind of in a Minority Report style, you're smoking a cigarette on a bus and you're not supposed to, and the facial recognition cameras pick up on who you are, map you out through AI in a database, figure out who you are, fine you, ping your cell phone to tell you that a $15 fine has been deducted from your account on this QR code. And that is happening right now. That is already happening. So part of this Minority Report insane software that they talk about that they show in the movie is actually already happening because of these facial recognition cameras, and it's about as dystopian as you can imagine.
Well, we say it's happening like in China, but there are elements of it happening everywhere. We live so much of our lives online that when you apply for a job, the employer is going to go through your social media history. They're going to be like, well, 5 years ago, I see a photo of you and you look a bit drunk here, so that's going to lower my opinion of you, whether it's consciously or subconsciously.
Yeah.
And the big difference between the world that we live in and the world in Minority Report is that there was human oversight in Minority Report.
Right.
Tom Cruise was stood doing that stuff. It wasn't just left to an algorithm.
Right. I got kicked off of Twitter for making just a joke about, when are we going to throw Bill Gates into a volcano? This was pre-coronavirus too. This was back in February, and they deleted my account, and they're like, you can click a button if you wish to refute this, which I did, and I typed like, come on, give me a break. Have a human being take a look at this. Like, it's clearly a joke, but it said I was inciting group violence, which is fun. Anyway, in the end, they just ran it through their AI or whatever they have, and my account was gone. No human oversight at all. So you're right. Minority Report was actually maybe doing things a little bit more ethically than we are right now.
I'll tell you your mistake. What you need to do is punch Jeff Bezos in the face.
I was about to make the same joke. They obviously don't have an audio version yet, because on every 5th episode of this podcast, I say I want to punch Jeff Bezos in the face. Or explicitly tell our listeners to do it.
You ready to do it? That's what you do.
Well, they'll wait till you guys are monetized and feeling real nice and feeling comfortable on that, and then they'll take it away from you.
That's why we're hiding out in Japan and doing this for funsies.
That sounds like a good plan.
I tried to tweak my algorithm a few years ago. I deleted all of my Facebook likes and redid all of them with Kenny Rogers. Favorite movie. It was actually Six Pack, his favorite TV show, The Gambler, favorite restaurant, Kenny Rogers Roasters, and so on. And man, when he died earlier this year, you won't believe what my Facebook feed looked like.
Oh my God! My old college roommate worked for Kenny Rogers for like 7 years on his crew, building sets for him. Said he was the nicest guy in the world. That's
the thing. If I'm gonna throw poo in the face of the algorithm, I do it with something that's at least like fun.
That's great, man. I like that a lot.
Charlie, I'm going to throw the ball to you. We brought up a few of the things that were on your mind with this film, but any topics you want to kind of delve into with the philosophy or design or so forth?
Well, the whole concept of pre-crime it really makes you have to think for a second about this, because it does bring up these the option that free will versus determinism, and it also kind of makes you think of government overreach and it brings in the surveillance system. So it's sort of a combination of a bunch of different concepts in here that had me worried. But I'd say that overall, the one that really bothered me was the surveillance aspect of this whole thing, because of how I'm feeling about our current move into the surveillance state. And, to have these three precogs be able to see you doing things. I mean, let's take the, seeing the future component out of it, just even though that's a trip in and of itself. But just the fact that somebody's kind of constantly watching you, and they can dig that up, and you can go back in time and look where you were. It's just a total invasion of privacy, and it feels really disgusting. It's sort of the core of this movie. And it makes me think of where we are right now with the invasion of privacy, with, the surveillance cameras everywhere. Our digital lives are totally being monitored. Edward Snowden spilled the beans on the worst kept secret in the world, that the NSA is actively spying on everybody. And satellites are going up constantly, and Elon Musk is going to put 1 million satellites up. And, it just feels a bit like, what is this world that we're going to be living in? It's going to be a dystopian nightmare. And it seems like, if we were collectively thinking about where this is headed, we might do something about it. But we're not. We're just actively allowing this digital wall to be built around us. And it's a bit terrifying, to be honest with you.
Interesting, this film came out in 2002, which is incredibly soon after 9/11.
Yeah.
Because this is a very post-9/11 film. It's about, okay, well, we've decided to trade freedom for security.
Yeah, and it also has, you can go where you want to with the narrative of 9/11, but this film has a very clear false flag. I mean, they show the mechanics of how it went down and how he did it and all of that.
It showed government manipulation and the influence of powerful people, and how when you want to get a project approved in government, you sometimes cut corners and you bury the evidence of anything that would give it a bad name. So it really pulled together some themes that we have come to understand in our own governments, that it is run by psychos that have enormous egos that want their project to be the one. And so you get a glimpse of that, and they're willing to do unspeakable things and cross lines that the rest of us would never think of crossing in order to make sure that their agenda moves forward. So I think Spielberg did a nice job of incorporating that in there, or maybe probably more realistically, Philip K. Dick incorporated that in there, since I think he was not a big fan of government.
Definitely. I was just trying to think, because the leaders of this operation, Tom Cruise and Max von Sydow, I can't remember either of the character names.
Anderton,
yeah. He's doing this because he personally suffered a loss. Mm-hmm. So this is a personal project for him. And he dresses it up as I don't want anyone else to go through what I went through. But when the chips are down, he thinks he's found the guy, he goes straight for revenge and murder. And this is not a benevolent, trying to do the right thing sort of operation. This is a Batman style quest to make himself feel better.
But the creepy thing is, he does, in his own mind, in the moment, decide not to kill the man.
True.
So in that case, the precogs were almost right, but almost right's not good enough to put a person in prison.
But it is good enough, like we said at the start, to say, okay, we think you're going to commit murder, so we're going to help you. So what I wanted to ask is, everyone has a situation where they would probably kill someone, right? If it was to save my loved ones or to avenge, I abhor violence for the most part, but I'm sure in that situation I would kill a person. So if they can see through these elaborate systems the chain of events that led to this situation and prevent it, what are they punishing people for? That your circumstances led you to this position. I mean, of course, like, there are murderers who are just bad people and did a bad thing, but there are a lot of situations where it could have been prevented through a little bit of kindness or a slightly different situation.
Yes, basically, they make it clear that 6 years into the pre-crime, it's mostly just, like, crimes of passion. Nobody, like, premeditates
Yeah, no
murder
one's stupid
anymore.
enough to try that anymore.
Right, because they'll catch you way beforehand in that case.
It's just a weird one. I'm trying to think of, like, what I would compare it to in the modern world. Which is, I guess, just our entire justice system, which is based on, like, making victims feel better rather than preventing future crime.
Well, it's like we don't have the U.S. perspective here, or the U.K. one, really, even though we're...
Well, I'm 2 years out.
Right, so everyone just went through this basically being, like, imprisoned for a few months, and then when they were kind of let out, they went a little bit wild, you know?
Well, yeah, there's long been the put an innocent man in prison and he'll come out a criminal.
Yeah.
Yeah, people were fed up in the United States, and of course, all the protesting and riots were, attributed to the George Floyd situation. But, I think there was a fair percentage of people that were just expressing their frustration from being cooped up for the last 3 months at that point. And they were blended in there too. They were mad, but they weren't, they were mad that they had been under house arrest.
Yeah, maybe not consciously, but subconsciously
Right.
That was influencing them.
No, I remember probably saying to you in March, it's like, man, this is going to result in, like, massive protests within a few weeks.
Yeah.
I didn't know exactly why the protests would start, but that was I guess a twist, right? But
Yeah.
I thought
Well,
people
the energy was there for that to happen. It just needed a spark, and that's what the George Floyd situation was. It sparked up a lot. A lot of people brought fuel to that fire of different varieties, and it was just a combination of things, I think.
I mean, even in Japan, they tried to. There were some BLM protests in Tokyo. They really had to reach, though.
Well, I mean, Japan does have a huge problem with its criminal justice system.
Oh yeah,
It's just that it doesn't have any black people.
right. So what they ended up doing is the cops had mildly manhandled
Oh, I
a
think
Kurdish
they had
man.
pretty badly beaten up some guy
Oh, okay.
just for being black. Like, the Japanese police do get up to this stuff.
Yeah,
It's just
yeah.
less common because, A, there isn't that much racial diversity here, and there also just isn't that much crime.
I mean, I don't know how it is for you, but even now when I see a cop coming down the street, in Japan, honestly, the cops don't really screw with you in Japan. I've been here for 14 years. Basically, I've been stopped and asked to see, like, my, alien card twice. And I
Right.
was in Tokyo.
Yeah, the only interaction I've had with the police is when I lost my wallet and I went to the police station and they had it. And then I dropped 10 yen, and when I got to work, the police phoned and they sent an officer to give me back my 10 yen.
So those are Japanese police. I still have
Wow.
In fact, I've kept it on a shelf here. My 10 yen coin that the police came to my office to give me.
Oh my God.
That's how not busy they are here in Nagano.
I still have a knee-jerk reaction when I see a cop car rolling down the street or walking by some cops, basically because I lived in America for, a fair portion of my life at least.
Yeah, I don't have it so much, A, because I lived in the UK,
Yeah.
and B, because I briefly was in the police. But the way in Japan they roll around at night with their lights going, that always makes me feel a little bit on edge. They just have the lights going all the time.
Right,
even
they
when they're
just
not
roll down
chasing
the
something.
street, like they're behind you with the lights on. So as an American, I gotta pull over. They got me, and no, they're just driving.
Oh, I wouldn't have known that.
Yeah, it's
I would
pretty
have
crazy.
been all freaked out. I would be like, God, they hate me. Everywhere I go, I'm getting trying to pull me over.
And then when the sirens go here, they sound like World War II bomb sirens as well. So that freaked me out the first few times.
Oh, that's not good.
Yeah, we were doing a podcast on Godzilla, and they had, like, while we were doing it on the side of a mountain, the same, like, the Godzilla alert started, like, playing through the town. It was great.
Nice.
Got the droning temperature.
So we talked about the sort of the social future that this film predicted, but there's also a lot of like technology and that kind of science fiction future it had. The main question I want to ask is which had the best self-driving cars car chase, this or iRobot?
Oh, it's been a while since I saw iRobot.
I was really reminded of them. They both just have those generic silver self-driving cars.
Yeah, my notes were, one, wouldn't these self-driving cars make you vomit?
The way they go up the balls and...
Yeah. That was my one thought.
Constantly being on a roller
and the other one
coaster.
is, I mean, I'm not really slamming the film for this. The CGI is very good, but it did make me think a bit of a PlayStation 2 game.
It's that washed out white light thing they do, which these days is what a very low budget sci-fi film does to hide where it's using its effects. But it makes this film look a lot cheaper than I think it actually was.
Well, I'll start. I love driving. I certainly don't want a self-driving car.
Really?
Yeah.
I enjoy driving, but I think all cars should be self-driving eventually because road deaths are so common.
Yeah, okay.
Plus, then we could just eliminate car ownership. They just one rolls up and you get in it and it takes you where you want to go.
Yeah, it's like Disney's People Mover idea, I guess.
Yeah. But again, that's the one that will work here. I don't know if that would work in like America or Europe.
I'm not looking forward to a future with those little robot insects that go around scanning your eyeballs. That has a very DARPA, Boston Dynamics feel to it, you know?
Yeah, all the videos
Black Mirror,
kicking them.
all that stuff. I can do without the robot animals that are on scouting missions or, you know, they're rolling them out in the parks in Singapore.
Yeah, there was one in
that.
In the UK. They had a robot police officer in the park, and there was a story about someone who tried to report a crime to it, and it said "Leave me alone," and then started singing.
And
Oh well, there you go.
apparently there is no like, you know, medical out with these little drones. I mean, he has a legitimate medical out, right? He's got to have his eyes covered for 12 hours.
Yeah.
So, but the robot doesn't care.
Well, neither did the human officers when they found him.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, I thought the gesture recognition technology that they used in it was super cool. I think we're seeing some of that getting incorporated into like our VR headsets with our gloves and things like that.
Well, even
so,
just the way that everything everywhere is a touchscreen now.
yeah.
But the one thing that did seem really outdated, I think you made a note about it, Matt. They were transmitting everything by plugging things out and plugging them back in.
Oh, those chips, yeah.
Yeah, nothing was wireless.
Yeah. I noticed that.
But I did like the glass sheet, and it just slides in, and that did look very stylish.
Yeah, it was very clean looking. Or how about the augmented reality where the guy was selling those trips to people, you know, like, hey man, what do you want to see? What your future, you know? And they open one door and there's a guy in there and everybody's saying, they're all clapping, saying, you're so great,
Yeah.
you're so great. That was, that seemed extra weird to me, but, you know, I think maybe we're headed that direction with the VR headsets and things like that.
No, I mean,
not too far off.
Even when I just play like an old Nintendo game, there's part of it is just like, I want to be told that I'm the hero who saved the princess. Like, so if you can make it feel like someone's really telling me that I'm the hero, that would be even better.
Well, I think they made it clear that the VR chamber was a bit of a...
It's a bit of a sleazy activity.
Yeah, that's like the strip club for, you know, that... for the denizens of that time.
Well, because there was that other guy who like came in with his daughter in it. Oh no, I completely ignore it. I'm thinking of when Tom Cruise came in with Agatha. When I first saw it, I just thought it was some dude with his kid.
Oh, okay.
And now I'm realizing that's a fake memory.
Right. Hey, Philip K. Dick's a good time to get into your fake memories.
Yeah.
I had one thought, but it's like 3 ticks back, so I guess it's gone now.
Never mind. It's another one of those films where they're like, oh, here's the futuristic new way that you're going to watch videos, but it can't be too futuristic because we want it to look believable. So it just looks like crap technology that no one would use.
Oh, here's where my thought came in. This is a different sci-fi, but if you guys got into the newer Battlestar Galactica, the whole point of the Galactica is at some point because of
Because of
the
the Cylons
surveillance,
they made,
because of the Cylon, because of all the digital stuff. The Battlestar itself was all analog. You want to talk to someone, you have to pick up a phone and talk to
there's
someone
no
on like a
wireless. I remember
hard
that from
line.
episode 1, yeah.
Yeah. So I wonder if that's somewhere
It could
we
be
are
that their
heading.
police station was deliberately insulated.
Yeah.
If you wanted to explain it away.
Once the Microsoft racist AI takes over the grid, we might have to go analog again.
You've had this thing where you've taken a photo of something really weird you've seen in Japan and been like, I don't want this in the cloud.
Oh, yes,
So you
yes.
only share it.
I've explained it before, but yeah, I had curry up in Hokkaido, the northern island. Real nice. We go out, and there's just like this, like blackface statue. And I took a picture of it, but I'm like, I can't even put this like anywhere in an internet feed.
Yeah. That's the downside of this technology, right? Is that we get all these amazing benefits from it. We get to interact with our friends on Facebook and people that we've never met on Twitter and all this stuff, but it comes with a price, and that price is a portion of our privacy, and these things get, come back to haunt us in a way.
And that's like not even a secret. That is the business model of Facebook. Yeah. We give you this service and we'll sell your information.
No, it's like they've tweaked everything to where like you get your little dopamine kick when you get like your update or you know. I mean, now it's stupid. It's like someone made a post. It's like, why do I have a notification that someone just made a post?
Well, I have this feeling where it'll be I've woken up in the morning, whatever, I haven't got anything to do yet. I'm just scrolling Twitter or Facebook, and I realise, wait, I'm not learning anything. I'm not achieving anything. I'm just doing this because I've somehow been conditioned to think it's nice to scroll this feed. I have to sort of like jump up, throw my phone across the room, and go and do something useful.
I think we've all. I certainly have felt the same way about that. When I got kicked off of Twitter, there was part of me that I was like, this is probably not the worst thing that's ever happened to me.
The best thing.
I had that. I stayed on a farm in Japan for 2 weeks where there was absolutely no internet. And I was like, oh god, this is actually so nice. But of course, as soon as I got back to civilization, I was like, right, straight on the internet, straight on my Facebook, straight on...
Yeah.
I don't have the strength to just actually go cold turkey.
No. Well, I mean, people you know from your past, that's how we contact them now.
Yeah, my friends are on the other side of the planet.
Exactly. So. When I changed all my likes to Kenny Rogers, I was thinking of just removing my Facebook, but one, I communicate with you through Facebook. Yep. And yeah, I use it mostly just to like communicate with my parents and a few friends and things like that. I try, I try to barely make posts these days because, especially this year, holy crap! Like you could post something completely innocuous and it's like you're outside.
Yep.
Yeah. You get the Karens of the world are all over the place, ready to shut you down at a moment's notice. It's been a crazy couple of months. I'm with you. I'm afraid to post anything on Facebook for fear of exposing myself as being a wrong thinker or something.
Right as everything was really kicking off, we had a staff party at work, which ended with the entire company holding hands and singing a song. That's like, oh my god, if I filmed this now and put it online.
Yeah, this is an April date, by the way.
That's funny. Oh well, we're doing things different here in Japan. Don't worry about us.
Yeah, Japan is definitely walking a weird tightrope at the moment. Compared to what I'm seeing in the States, I'm happy to walk that tightrope. So
yeah,
I think you're probably in better shape than we are. In a variety of reasons.
Yeah, I guess in Japan the corruption's usually like right on the surface. Like a government minister there'll be some scandal where they changed money to all the wrong hands, and people are like, oh yeah, you shouldn't do that. Let's move on.
Well, I remember I first got to Japan and I was talking to some Japanese friends about whatever the latest scandal was. And I okay, can you explain it to me? And they were like, oh yeah, well you see, he's the minister of this, and he gave it to a private company. I was like, that's every single contract in the UK.
Right.
Like our health minister owns a private health company. Our justice minister owns a private security firm.
That is one facet that this movie, maybe in the early 2000s it wasn't so obvious, but just getting into that, like the pre-crime technology itself, the scientific corporation or whatever, would be a pretty major mover and player here.
Yeah. We never really see the equivalent of OCP from Robocop.
Yeah, it's like these lawmen pushing it, but there's got to be a corporation at work as well.
Well, I mean, in this case, it was an experiment, right? So this is the one example of it. So I guess when they go national at the end of the film, I guess they were planning to contract it out then.
Yeah.
This would be a project in the United States that would be run by DARPA, which Defense Advanced Planning Research Authority, and they are the ones coming up with the future technology, and then there's a subset of that called InQtel, which then is the venture capital department of the CIA, and then they fund other companies to work on projects like this as well. So if they can't make it with DARPA, then they've usually been involved in the seed financing of some of these other companies that make similar things, and then they have an inside track to the technology.
Speaking of like DARPA and defense contracts, the police that we see in this film are very militarized. Like everyone's got body armor. How much had that started in 2002?
Well, in 1997, the 1033 program started in the United States under Bill Clinton, and what that did is it allowed the military to recycle their gear back into the United States, if they were outside of the United States, recycle it back into the police forces for the cost of just shipping and handling. So you started to see the militarization of the police then, but it really ramped up substantially in the 2003, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, those years when we were...
So this film was slightly ahead of the trend.
Yeah, so we were actively involved in combat operations in the Middle East. Then that equipment was coming back. So it really is more prevalent a little bit later. So they actually predicted it right. But yeah, the militarization of the police had started about 5 years before this had
I guess the one way that hasn't aged well is that all the police operations we see in this film are so non-lethal.
Yeah.
So like they know for a fact this guy's going to commit a murder, but they do everything in their power to take him alive. Whereas like Tom Cruise,
true.
If they made this film today, Tom Cruise would just be a sniper.
Right.
So, Luke, you already said in this episode you were briefly with the police in England, at least. How would the Hot Fuzz unit have reacted if a tank rolled up someday for your use?
We don't even have guns.
No.
So like we'd have taken it to a field and messed around in it and probably broken it. Like one time we found a musket in the woods and we had to call in the special armed unit to come and deal with it. Because, that has not started happening. Although I think if you go to like London and places, you are going to see the American style. They've got an assault rifle. There's a big tank in there. But yeah, because guns are just much less common, the criminals don't have them, so the police don't really have them.
Yeah. I know in Japan, basically, the only time you hear guns being fired is a farmer, rents one from the local office to scare off some crows. So I do wake up to gunshots sometimes, but...
Yeah, I occasionally hear them because there's a bit of farms over that way. But I can never tell if it's actually... Well, in the UK, I can never tell. Is it a gunshot or is it a quarry?
But I know in the gnarlier neighborhoods of Atlanta where, some of my friends used to live, you'd hear a gunshot and someone has a hole in their finger now or worse.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, living in downtown Los Angeles, when I went to college, it was a nightly occurrence. You would hear gunshots all the time.
So, okay, there's one, I guess that's one plus of the Minority Report dystopia, not so many gunshots. What's the cost? Don't know, but, well, we can see a bit of that. But, hey, no one's getting shot. Yeah, this film holds up.
It does and it doesn't.
Okay,
this film's ideas are still very interesting and, if anything, only more relevant. The way it handles them is very weird to see in, like, the year 2020.
Yeah, I guess it plays a touch like steampunk or something.
Well, it just plays everything slightly too light a touch where it shouldn't be. Like, it has serious moments, but those serious moments are just like, oh, character drama, Tom Cruise. But all of its science fiction ideas, it just plays as pretty fast and loose as a fun idea. And like no one ever says that, like all the way through the film they're saying the system is perfect. And the problem is not that we have this system where we catch people before they commit crimes and put them in a tube. The problem is, maybe sometimes it can make a mistake. Or maybe Tom Cruise is a bit invested. It never actually questions its concept.
Yeah, I guess in that way it wouldn't hold up because we actually have text capable of some of this now, where it was still a wizard did it when the movie came out.
Yes.
I mean, maybe not with DARPA, but but with the average man, it was a wizard.
Yeah, they already had Project Looking Glass, man. They were seeing the future.
Yeah, I mean, like again, 3 precogs in a tank versus a wild AI algorithm. Both sound pretty out there, but one's a little more reality.
Yeah.
Well, the precogs gave me the feeling of, the surveillance state. The 3 of them, when they put their heads together, they can see everything, and it to me it was symbolic of those spy agencies all coming together, like the CIA, MI6, Mossad, putting their heads together, and between the 3 of them, they can see everything that happens, things in the future, things in the past. They can keep track of everybody, and because of that watchful eye in the sky, we change our behavior because of that, and that's a very dark way of a dark world to live in when you have to feel that you're constantly being watched. So, it made me, glad that I am where we're in the year we're in right now, but also a bit fearful that maybe we're headed that direction and we're not even going to put up much of a fight.
Well, the precogs in the movie, of course, are a major liability. I mean, they kidnapped Agatha and murdered her mother, right? Mm. Hey, algorithms, you don't have that liability.
No.
And, it's even peachier for that system than in the Minority Report.
You tell... The algorithm also does something people want, right? It's like, now the YouTube videos that I want to see are going to come up first. So I don't care about all the data it's collecting because it's using it to give me the entertainment I want. Sure, maybe it also uses it to funnel children towards Nazism sometimes, but by packaging it as something like, it's a service for you, and then underneath that they're putting in all the despicable shit, is how they're doing it.
I think Elsa Gate was the name for that one.
Yeah. Oh, no. There's the weird stuff they sent to kids.
Oh, no.
And there's the literal Nazism that
right,
likes
okay.
to send to kids. Because the algorithm is, if something gets a lot of engagement, it's more likely to push it. So the more extremist a view is, the more the algorithm pushes it towards other people.
Well,
so you watch one video on The Last Jedi, you get, why The Last Jedi is the Jews trying to take over the media.
Well, I guess I'm sitting in nice waters. The last time I fell asleep watching YouTube, I woke up 2 hours later watching some horribly boring long documentary about the different kinds of jet stream airplanes. That's where YouTube sent me after a few hours.
All you ever watch is just videos of people riding theme park rides.
Yeah, that and baseless music tracks, yes.
Oh, you're going to be on somebody's list for sure.
Oh, you like that bass, do you? But, so, yeah, it hasn't held up in that the tech actually turned out to be, I guess, sharper, which is kind of disturbing. I wish we got the Minority Report tech, I guess, except for that stuff while walking down, mall hallways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the adverts we get are less public, but they are more personalised. Like the ones in this film, they was advertising the same stuff to everyone. It was just using their name. Whereas now I'm getting advertised. Like my favourite are the really dumb algorithmic T-shirts you get on Facebook, where it detects your name, your job, your girlfriend's name. It's advertises some T-shirts why don't you buy this for your girlfriend? Oh, don't mess with me. I've got a September man who was born in England and has a... No, I'm not going to buy that. Or it'll just say it's a summer haze thing, and then you get people in my family this is so us, we should all buy them.
Yeah, that's where. Luckily, we're only at that level where it's just mildly annoying. But as they got to in the movie, as they got to the point where the ads came alive, it made me feel like a scene out of Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. You're just tripping your ass off, and it feels like everybody that you walk by, all the billboards are talking to you. It would be very disconcerting, but also probably fun for about 5 minutes.
Has anyone caught this thread? I have just noticed, like, in the past couple months, sorry, when am I sent mail? For the past couple months, just getting insane amounts of, like, random, like, your interview at, Amazon, your interview at Walmart. Like, they're just trying to, like funnel everyone into, like, all the big corporations now.
Well, I think it's just that so many people are currently trying desperately to find a job that they will just click on these emails not realizing that it's a scam.
Yeah, one, they're scam, but also they're all for, like, major corporations, right? So
because the chances that everyone on this mailing list, 10 of them have applied for that company.
Fortunately, I'm not job hunting, but...
Yeah, you're lucky. Yeah, it's a mess here in the States. Everybody's a bit freaked out. They keep opening us and closing us, and now they're making masks mandatory again. It's really... I'd like to wake up and have it be 2021, please, or at least after the election here. We got an election coming up, and that's just going to create even more chaos. So
which rapist do you want?
Right. I want some of the space drugs that Tom Cruise was buying to just take me away to someplace else for the next couple of months. That's some technology from the film that I'm actively looking forward to.
To be honest, I'll just get in one of those tubes that they put the criminals in.
Right,
Let me out in 2 years.
Pull the guy out and just give me your little head thing and move out. I'm jumping in. I'm done with it. Stop this planet. I want to get off.
Dream your best life away.
Yep.
Well, as we wrap up a little bit here, Charlie, can you tell the good folks a bit about your book and your podcast?
Sure. Well, I wrote a book called The Octopus of Global Control, and it is available on Amazon and at Barnes & Noble, and also, if you like the digital version, you can just get it at my website, theoctopusofglobalcontrol.com, and I have a podcast called Macroagressions. It's available on Apple and Spotify and iHeartRadio, and the video version is available on David Icke's platform, Iconic, and also on YouTube. And I do 2 episodes a week, so you can check it out there. And on Twitter, if you, listen, I'm on Twitter now again, so, I might not be... This
isn't going up for a month, so you might be gone by then.
I make no guarantees, but if you can find me at Macroagressions on Twitter.
One question, how large is your book? I e-read it, so...
It's thick. It's 540 pages. It's a bit of a door stopper. I
had a feeling it could be used as a blunt weapon. I did the e-version, so I wasn't quite sure. I did enjoy it. People should read it.
Well, thank you very much. Yeah, it's an interesting look at some rather fascinating control structures that run our world. And part of that, part of what I got into in that was the technology side of it. So it's one of the reasons why I really connected with this movie, because a lot of the things that I've written about, you see Minority Report cover, and you can sort of map it out and get a good idea of where this technology is taking us and what these elite controllers have planned for us. And unfortunately, it's maybe not going to be in our best interest.
And if you want to have a happier time and hear a British man talk about Pokemon.
Yeah, you can. On the entirely opposite end of the spectrum, you can listen to my other podcast, which you can find on Twitter at Luke Loves PKMN, and it's on all your podcasting apps at Luke Loves Pokemon. It's also a podcast where just one guy sits and talks on his own, but it's only like 6 minutes long. So, and if you like the music that you've heard during this podcast, then you can find Matt's music at rovingsagemedia.bandcamp.com.
I'm going to try and scream out the letters. It's always a challenge. MLSFS Pod.
Yes.
Okay,
yeah.
Do that thing.
You can find this podcast on Twitter at MLSFS Pod. We're also on Facebook, and of course you can rate and review on iTunes, all that stuff, blah, blah, blah. No one cares.
It comes so smoothly out of you.
I know, I hate it. I hate how good I am at being a corporate shill. Just wait till we have a sponsorship, and I can tell them what nutrient juice to drink or whatever, where to get their mattress.
Charlie, again, thank you for coming on and chatting with us. I definitely enjoy listening to you, and it's very nice to have you be responsive for once, since it's not a pre-recording.
I loved this. This was so much fun for me. It was a real treat. Thank you guys so much for having me and for thinking of reaching out to me. This was a blast.
Oh, yeah, thanks for saying that.
Well, we'll come back in sometime and get into NASA.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, let's definitely do it.
Is this our Transformers 3 guest?
He could be. Want to do Transformers 3 sometime?
Yeah, we'll do one on one of the moon landing movies. Something NASA related next time.
Yeah, word up. As for now, where can our listener run off to?
Well, they can just go and stick themselves in a tube and dream their life away.
It could be fun, I guess.
Is that what the Sci-Fi Sanctuary is? Are we just in a tube?
Are we in a tube?
Might as well be. It's a little Japanese apartment.
That's pretty, yeah, that's getting Gnostic there. Okay, later, y'all.
Okay, thanks.
Next week, Star Trek 3, The Search for Spock.
Kids are all out protesting the stuff they've been sanctioned to. Out here on the plain of Reeves, we've been reinventing. God, that's cool. If it's not evil, then there's no need for secrecy. So let the sunshine rain down, let the sunshine rain down free. Natural adaptation, don't feel the system has evolved. Myriad the mystery of things that never have been solved. If it's not evil, then there's no need for secrecy. So let the sunshine rain down, let the sunshine rain down free. Magazine of life, so-called been catching ergot and it's right. Got a teenage allowance going oysters to make the walrus cry. If it's not evil, then there's no need for secrecy. So let the sunshine rain down, let the sunshine rain down free. displays the tokens of protest. I'm seeing the great wave coming to St. Anthony's Fire. I'm blessed. If it's not evil, then there's no need for secrecy. So let the sunshine rain down, let the sunshine